How's it going, Andrew?
What's going on, homie?
Not much. Well, a lot, but not much. You?
Are you surviving this 100-degree weather in your little Deb truck?
No, the back of it is a sauna. So for those of you that have seen the videos when I used to do them, and I should get back to them when it's not 100 degrees outside, the roof of that truck is clear. So the sun beats into it.
It's a greenhouse.
It's a greenhouse.
You should grow some plants in there, dude.
I'm sure I could. I could have watered them with my sweat over the last couple of days.
Too much salt.
It is awful back there. So it's been a struggle, especially some of the stores that don't have air conditioning. But, we made it through it. Stronger for it. Tougher. Ooh, So
it's finally gotten to the point, because I hadn't had AC for 2 years, and now I have AC, that I was like, oh man, it's nice to have AC again, because there's a couple of, only a couple of days last year when we got it super hot that, not having AC was truly miserable, where, I'd be working in, a wife beater and just sweating in my house. I was like, dude, this is lame. But now it's up and running. But the problem is I kind of have a hard time going in and out of the AC in that temperature.
Yeah.
So I just have been, after work, just staying outside. And so since I can't, like I've mentioned, my hose doesn't reach the backyard, but all them plants are so thirsty because it's so hot, that I've been carrying watering pails back and forth, which makes the job of watering these plants go from a 20-minute job to a 2-hour job. So just walking back and forth, back and forth with the watering cans.
Well, that gives you an idea of what I do all day. I walk back and forth from my truck with bins full of product all day.
Honestly, it felt good. I kind of liked it. Once I got acclimated, I was just a sweat boy.
The only difference is I have to go from the hot back of the truck to the outside, which feels like air conditioning for a second compared to the back of my truck.
The breeze.
Into a store that has air conditioning, most likely. Back out into the heat. Then into the front of my truck where I crank the AC on the drive to the next stop, to just inevitably go into a stop that either may or may not have AC, to come back out and get back into the back of the truck, which is 20 degrees warmer than whatever the ambient temperature outside is, and rinse and repeat.
Yeah, that's the big problem. I think the big problem is the going in and out of the temp. You just have to pick your temp and stay in it, or your body gets upset. Here's a follow-up question. What happens to all them little Debbie cakes in the 100-degree greenhouse?
They get a little soft.
Do they reshape back to their normal position? Well, they're barely made of any real food, so who knows?
They do get a little soft. That's as much as I'll say.
It's like you're wondering what's happening with those cream pies. You're like, oh, the stuff came out on the outside, I guess, or the other the apple pie pockets. I feel like those, you could actually, if you get them hot, you could feel like you got a fresh out of the oven pie.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yep. There's a reason I keep certain stuff on the top shelf.
Just the thing that just will never melt no matter what. You're like, I don't know, that thing's preserved.
Right. Yeah.
Not to get Matt in trouble with Little Debs. Little Debs, if you're listening, we love you.
I always kind of wondered that myself until I started doing this job, because I was like, those trucks don't have reefers on them. They don't have a cooling unit for the back. How does that work? But obviously they figured it out. They're bigger down south than they are up here. And those guys...
I mean, I feel like Little Debbie's, and once again, Little Debbie's, if you're listening, don't get mad in trouble. We love you. We just also acknowledge the fact that you're probably similar to astronaut food, that you can go into any condition and it's fine. You'll just ride it out. Take a Little Deb to space and you'll be A-okay. I've seen a Twinkie in space. Wait, Twinkie's is hostess, right?
Yes, Twinkie's is hostess.
Oh, sorry, Little Debs. Sorry, Deborah.
That's all good. To completely change the topics, though, since I really enjoy suffering, apparently, on Tuesday in this maniacal heat that I had been out in all day already, I went for a 2-mile run in 88 degrees with 67% humidity.
You feel good?
It felt like dog shit.
So what I struggle with at that temperature of running is your inability to cool down. So when you breathe in, usually the breath cools you, but the breath's the same temperature on outside as inside. And so I always struggle in that temp, especially in hurling, because it just feels like I cannot reduce my temp. That's like when I start pouring water in my head and stuff. I'm like, dude, I need to lower this down. I'm too hot.
It was torturous. My times were not substantially slower, but slower, which I use Chat GPT to help me track some of my health metrics and running and stuff and compare it to other runs and stuff like that. And my cadence and everything was still similar, but my times were just a little off. And we 100% attributed that to the heat and the humidity as compared to previous runs. So
I would. Yeah, and actually that's a great transition to our topic, which is probably why you brought it up. And I don't want to derail this, but I do want my listeners to know on the same day that I did an oil change on my own car because I'm a handy Andy now. But I don't want to distract from Matt running because it's too topically specific. But I wanted to humble brag briefly.
Well, we'll have to return to that humble brag. That is a big humble brag. That's not the first time though. That's like the second time you've done one, isn't it?
Third time, y'all.
Third
We're time, y'all.
3. Woo! Right on.
Heck
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Well, anyways, let's hit the music because I wanted to transition on that, but I also had to humble brag because I'm a ray of sunshine.
Fair.
So let's hit that music and move on to our topic.
Nice callback. Nice callback.
Loosen up your ties and roll up your sleeves. It's time for Fellowship with Matt and Andrew. The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are not necessarily the views and opinions of the Grand Lodge of Wisconsin or any other Grand Lodge or any appended body.
All right. Well, Matt, kick off our topic. This was your idea, so we'll let you start us off.
Well, this was actually an idea that had come out in conversation with other podcasters, but we decided that today's topic, it would be fun to talk about, especially since there seems to be a little bit of a movement going on amongst a small circle of guys, to talk about how getting healthy and like fitness and diet and stuff like that can relate to Freemasonry and the working tools, and how that is an important part of self-improvement along with everything else that Freemasonry teaches.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting topic and one that sorely needs to be examined by the brethren of the craft, myself included, because, how many jokes do we have about, how much Masons like to eat and enjoy drink, right? We all love it. We like to carouse and enjoy fellowship with one another. And, I don't think health is at the top of our list a lot of the time. And yeah, I know we say that it's the internal and not the external qualifications of man that Masonry regards. And I agree to become a member. It's not saying you better be a fitness guru to be a member, but I do think attending to one's health is a version of removing a vice and superfluidity. Because if our body is and our minds are a temple, then you have to maintain that temple.
Well, I would actually argue that fitness and overall health is part of the internal and not the external.
Oh, that could be true.
Especially if you look at it from a perspective of like cardiovascular, digestive health, or anything like that. We're not necessarily talking about appearance when we're talking about fitness. We're talking about overall health, right? And so I think that you could definitely classify that as an internal qualification, right? Not to mention the discipline and the fortitude a lot of times that it takes to stick with a program to try to maintain that fitness, right? Not necessarily to even be an athlete, but to stick with a diet or, try to improve your health according to your doctor's recommendations. And I have to kind of sit here and chuckle to myself because we happen to be recording the podcast on a cheat day for me. And I haven't necessarily stuck to program today. I've had a couple cocktails, but it's definitely an exercise in discipline. And what I feel like a lot of people forget is, it's something you could almost relate to. You could look at it as relating to the 24-inch gauge as well. if you put it in different perspective, everything needs to be in balance, right? You can't constantly deprive yourself 24/7. You have to. You can be disciplined a good majority of the time, but you also have to allot for those times where you're at refreshment.
Well, and the compasses. Circumscribing
Right.
your passions, keeping yourself in due bounds. I think balancing health, and to add to a point that came to my mind when you brought up the internal, potentially that the internal might be related. I think as modern science has really started to discover the mind-body connection and how substantial it is, that when it comes to trying to make sure that your mind is rid of superfluidities, being in poor health can have negative consequences emotionally, stress-wise, anxiety, not getting enough sleep can add to your stress and anxiety and all that stuff. So if, even though you might be wanting to get healthy for vanity's sake, there is non-vain reasons to be healthy that are way more important. So it could very well be internal, can be interpreted as internal as well, because, if you're an officer or you're active in masonry, it can be a lot of fun, but it's not like athletic work. Like going to these meetings and stuff isn't getting a workout. So you can find yourself, not only can be stressful at times, but it's not overtly terribly physical. So it's important to balance it, in your free time with various ways of managing your health and your body in a way that makes you mentally and physically a better version of yourself.
Right. Well, and we're supposed to be about self-improvement, and one of the cardinal virtues that comes along with that is fortitude, right? And everybody's way of building fortitude is different. And I relate fortitude a lot of times to discipline and doing hard things that you don't necessarily want to do. Like I cannot stand cold showers.
Dude, you gotta get into it, dude. I love them. You gotta get into it.
They just hurt. They're one of the most painful things I can do. Right? I don't know why. They don't work for me. But usually about once a week, once every other week, I'll take a nice shower, and at the end of the shower, I turn that water to cold, simply for the purpose of developing that willpower, that toughness, that fortitude, that discipline that comes along with it.
Do something you don't want to do.
I find the same. Right. Do something you don't want to do. Exactly. Challenge yourself. I mean, did I want to go for a run in 88 degrees and 67% humidity on Tuesday? Absolutely not. But what did I do? I laced up and I went and did it, right? And I think that can teach you a lot about yourself, and that can help you calm that voice down when you find yourself in a different sort of stressful situation.
Well, we talked about that in our fortitude episode at length. About half of they say, how do you develop fortitude? And you're like, do something you don't want to do just because your mind, you told yourself in your mind you were going to do something. So now when you get to that the cliff ledge of what you decide to do, and you go, I really don't want to turn this water to cold. You go, and you blast it, and you go, who's in charge? Who's in charge? Who's in charge? My mind or my, you know what I mean? And do it, dude. You got to start doing the cold shower after the workout. I will say, morning cold shower is miserable. After workout cold shower is significantly less miserable, because secretly it feels good because you're cooling down and it helps with your muscle fixing. But do you know what the secret is? Because I do this almost every day. Here's the secret, man. So you accept it, right? And you go, all right, it's time. So you close your eyes and go, it's time. Girdle your loins, right? You blast it, and then you say, I always think to myself, just surrender to it. And then I go, find the coldest part. See if my brain can find the coldest part. Because by searching, it kind of distracts you from the overall shock. And I try to find, where is it the coldest on me? Now, when I flip around to do front-sidey over back-sidey, it's usually like a re-jarring. But up to that point, once you're in there, you're golden.
What's really fun is, this doesn't happen often on the podcast, but it's going to happen about fitness, is I'm going to disagree with you about the cold shower being beneficial afterwards. It does help with soreness afterwards. However, if you're
hydroponic.
You know
no, I'm just
word I'm
kidding.
looking for.
That's the wrong word.
Yeah, no. If you're trying to grow muscle mass, you're better off doing like a sauna or hot shower session, according to research, because it'll help increase blood flow and everything else, which will actually help repair things. Cold will help with reduced soreness following.
Well, it reduces soreness, inflammation, but it also boosts your testosterone, which can also help too.
Supposedly.
Yeah.
Ask AI about it. I did.
Yeah. I mean, either way, actually the best thing you can do is you do the cold shower into the sauna. Then you can get the best of both, the Classico.
I'm just going to defer to ask Chad about it and tell me what you find.
We'll figure it out later. Either way, it's a good mental challenge.
It is. No, cold water is 100% a great mental challenge. Hot water, relaxing, wonderful. Cold water is a mental challenge. But I think, to slightly shift gears here, I think there's also something to be said when it comes to, let's not even call it fitness, let's call it just overall caring for your health as a discipline and a self-improvement factor in Freemasonry. I think there's something to be said for understanding that caring for your health equals longevity and your existence potentially for longer, not only for your family, but for your brothers and people that surround you and everything else. And I think when you start to think of certain things like that, like, you know, wanting to be around longer for the people you care about, it really puts things into a different perspective of, you know, love for your family and brotherly love and everything else, in that you don't want to leave them hanging. Right. And, you know, that means you got to take care of yourself.
Well, and I think, you know, we slightly degraded towards fitness because you're on a fitness journey right now. But fitness is not the only means of improving your health. It is a strategy, for sure, that can be used. But, you know, taking walks, you know, you're not going to get buff, but you can get in better health, and eating cleaner,
walking
drinking
is one
more
of the
water.
best things you can do.
Yep, drinking more water and those various things. Like, you know, there's a handful of things, quitting smoking, do all sorts of stuff, right? The sky's the limit on ways you can work on the ashlar of your health. And, you know, running is a great one, but, you know, generally just any sort of way to start physically, you know, getting into a better healthy state is all fair game, right? And I think another point to your thing where you go, you know, when you talk about brotherly love and loving your family and, you know, realizing that, you know, one day we will die, anything you can do to, you know, try to at least, I mean, we never know when our time's going to come. You could do everything right and die in a car crash, right? Or just have a heart attack and you would be fine, but somehow it just happened to you, right? Genes, whatever. Regardless, you know, doing those small steps is not only an act of love towards your family, your brothers, and, you know, people around you. How can you, what am I trying to say here? How can you share love with anyone else if you don't start by loving yourself? And doing something that's fitness or health related for yourself is an act of self-care. And self-care can have extreme benefits towards your ability to not only enjoy life, but also be able to share that joy with others through your actions.
Right. Well, and I would agree, you know, if you're more capable from a physical perspective because you're healthier, right? If you're more capable, then you're going to be able to help with more things. You're going to be able to do more things. You're going to be able to enjoy more things. Your mind's probably going to be clearer because you're going to be sleeping better. You're going to, you know, all these other factors that all go into, you know, maybe you're going to be better organized. Maybe you'll have more motivation to do things because you have more energy. There's so many factors that directly relate to your health and your performance in other aspects. And, you know, I don't care if it is walking. I don't care if it is running. I don't care if it's doing a couple push-ups every day. I don't care if it's being on a GLP-1. I don't care if it's quitting smoking. Anything that can improve your health and mental clarity and, you know, drinking more water, you know, to help with your hydration and everything else. There's so many different facets to health that you can just pick one. Just pick one. You don't have to pick all of them. I'm a crazy person. I am a crazy person, and I like to do everything at once, which is exactly what I've been doing for 3 to 4 months. And not everybody's built that way, but like I said, I am crazy person.
Yeah. Well, you always like that. Whatever you do, you go like really hard into. You're like, I'm into archery. I bought all the best equipment. I shoot over my shoulder now. And you're like, okay. So this actually, what you're saying right now brings up, I was talking with Brother Brian Moriarty the other day on our Fellowship Unplugged, and somehow we were talking about something similar. And he was like, there's a Socrates quote I want to pull that's perfect. And I went, oh, and I found it. And so I looked it up again. Socrates had a fun point, which is kind of strange because two of these things he's going to say are pillars of the lodge. But he says, okay, actually, I'm going to make it even excited. Socrates represents wisdom. And in this, he said there's two more things that'll be the other pillars of the lodge. He says, no man has the right to be an amateur in the matter of physical training. It is a shame for a man to grow old without seeing the beauty and strength of which his body is capable. And, we know that Socrates enjoyed fitness, but actually a lot of those old scholars had spoke on the importance of taking care of one's body as like in both Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle talk about it. That they're like, it's part of the pieces. It's one of the pieces we need. It's in this.
Right. Well, and, we're not talking about, people going out and being able to run marathons. Like, not everybody needs to go out. Like, that's not moving from a rough ashlar to a perfect ashlar, right? I'll be honest. My goal right now, somebody who used to try to train for marathons and never successfully did one because of various reasons. But my goal right now is to be able to comfortably run a 5K and lift heavy things. Like that's all. That's it. That's a pretty simple damn goal, right? It's a pretty achievable goal. I mean, even just to say you could walk 5K and lift reasonably heavy stuff. That's an achievable goal. You lose a couple pounds. You quit smoking. You drop your blood pressure by 10 points, right? Whatever it is that would make you more physically fit is something that is you working ashlar, and maybe once you get a taste of a little bit of it, you'll want more, right? Yeah. And you'll,
Well, yeah, and I agree. And the thing is with that, like, I'm not trying to like sit here and preach because you're doing a different health journey than I'm doing. Your athleticism is going berserk. I mean, I'm playing hurling and stuff, so I'm still active and trying to walk. But a lot of my stuff has been just trying to create a easily maintained system of minimum requirements, meaning, hey, minimum every day, I'm going to walk for 20 minutes, period. And they go, that's a lowest common denominator requirement and stuff like that. Besides me destroying a pack of cigarettes yesterday, besides that, I haven't had any cigarettes very few cigarettes for a couple of months, almost a year. I mean, besides when I was bumming them from you and now I bum them from Jesse occasionally before you stopped doing it. But for the most part, like, I stopped using a vape. I stopped doing that. I've been trying to drink significantly more water. For me, it's been less about being like, okay, I need to go crazy and like get super ripped. I mean, hurling is a pain in my butt for running it, but it's not as consistent. It's once a week, right? But for me, it's been trying to discover what is a lowest common denominator habit that can be maintained it was something as small and simple as, how you brush your teeth every day, right? And if you're not doing that, please do, dear God, twice a day, morning, evening, okay? And floss, thank you. But so outside of that, it's trying to build that foundation and say, if this is your worst case scenario, you're still doing something, right? And that's how I've been trying to approach it. It's from that angle, and then trying to eat a little more cleanly, right? But with that,
whole foods. Just that's all you have to do is just whole foods.
Stop processed. No Doritos.
Right.
But yeah, and I think that is what I think when I would, try to talk to people when I would do my mentorship on how do we start using our common gavel. I'd say pick something small and set your common, your baseline. And I was like, and I think that's huge. If everyone walked 20 minutes a day, you'd be surprised how it adds up. It's the consistency. It's something that's consistent is more powerful than something that's like, oh, one day I'm going to suddenly run 5 miles, but then I'm not going to touch it for a month. And you're like, well, it'd be better if you walk 20 minutes a day. Like, it's the consistency. Like, you're doing your regimen every single day is where you're building from.
Right. No, and consistency is the key. A little slip here or there. I've had my slips here or there, right? I've pretty much stopped smoking, but then, you know, here had one, there had one, whatever. Stopped the velos, but, you know, I haven't had one of those in a while, actually. But, you know, you have your slips, but what matters is that you're on your game 98% of the time, right? None of us are perfect. And, you know, you said start, you know, simple with walking like 20 minutes a day. That's what I did back in March. I started walking. That's all I did. And then all of a sudden it was like, man, I'm walking fast enough that this is almost a run. I wonder if I should run again, right? And then it became run a quarter mile, walk the rest of it. Run a half mile, walk for half a mile. Run a half a mile, walk the rest of it. Until it slowly built, and then all of a sudden over the course of months of consistent work, right? 3 times a week, 2 body weight workouts a week. Kettlebells I added in like a month ago for 1 workout. So a total of 6 days a week, right? But never more than like 35 to 40 minutes, right? That's like my max workout every day, because that's what works in my schedule, whether it be a run or a body weight workout or kettlebells, whatever. But after months of consistency, then all of a sudden it was, oh, holy crap, I just ran 2 miles. And now this last Saturday it was, oh, holy crap, I 3 miles. Right? And my goal when I started this was never to go back to being a runner. And this is where temperance comes in for me when it comes to this, is when I start running, I just want to keep running. Like you're
an addict, bro. You're an addict.
I am. If I don't temper myself, a year from now we'll be talking about how I'm running 100-mile weeks. And that's not my goal, because I don't ever want to get to that small of a frame again. To be doing that kind of mileage, I would be tiny again.
Yeah.
When I was doing that kind of mileage, I weighed like 155 pounds.
Yeah, when I was doing that mileage, I was 170 pounds. I'd look like an alien if I was ever that low again.
Right. Like I don't need to get back to there. That's not my goal this time. But it's definitely going to be an exercise in temperance for me to not push myself to those limits, because I am a crazy person and I enjoy suffering sometimes. And you got to know how to suffer, and you got to know how to work, and you got to know where the balance is, right? And, you know, I've certainly created my own suffering over the last 4 months between going on to a hardcore, almost full carnivore diet.
And having the stinkiest deuces in the lodge.
Right. True that. Although I have reintroduced carbs recently for recovery and for performance work. So I'm starting to slowly reintroduce carbs, because I didn't want to just dump my system with them again. But between doing that, quitting smoking, and then, well, I did a very strict from smoking to velo to nothing regiment to get me there. But, you know, to being pretty much completely off nicotine, you know, dropping 35 pounds in the process of, you know, quitting, and moving my VO2 max estimate from like 28 to 48 over the course of those months. I am stupid. I am crazy, and you should never do all of those things at once. However, if you want to, reach out to me and we can talk about it.
Yeah, if you want to be a crazy person like Matt, you can, because Matt's an addict. And if he's not addicted to his ciggies, he's going to be addicted to running or something. So we all know that type, right? He's like the classic, like that dude who is like a true addict on heroin, and he quits, and then he just becomes a jiu-jitsu champion. And you're like, what'd you do? He's like, I just switched my addiction to this. And you're like, oh, God, yeah, I see that. And you're like, it's life now. And you're like, all right, fair enough. But with that, I think, like, the advice that I have for brethren or anybody who's trying to start getting healthier can seem like a massive monumental task. And, you know, in Masonry, we talk about that, like, hey man, the perfect ashlar starts with 1 chip at a time, right? And it's about the consistent moving of small pieces of rock to build that ashlar. And that's why, like you were saying, you're like, hey, I set it at, you know, I'm doing like 20 to 40 minutes a day, and that's all. I'm not going to make it bigger, because the moment you make it bigger, it gives you an excuse to skip it. You go, well, I don't have that time today, but then if I can't do that, then I can't do it at all. You know what I mean? Like, well, if I can't have my hour and a half, then what's the point? And so by setting the parameter at something that's feasible and small enough to at least get your foot in the door, saying minimum I'm doing 20 minutes. If I get inspired and I have the extra time, I can do 40. Great. All the better. But setting it small is that small application of the gavel, the chip, chip, chip.
Yep.
And it's just one strike at a time, right? Because it is about the consistency and like keeping it small. And you do a good job in what you were saying about showing the ability to say, make it incremental. Let's say, you haven't walked in a long time and you have a hard time doing it. You go, I'm doing 5 minutes a day. 5-minute walk a day. My goal is going to get up to 20, but I'm going to start with 5 minutes a day. Walk out, walk back, walk out, walk back, and build, because we are builders, right? In this craft, we're builders. That's what we like to do. And so when it comes, we want to build all these other things, but we never want to look at ourselves and go, do I need some building? But that's the goal, the work of masonry, is improving yourself.
Right. Well, and I agree. And, the other thing to always remember, and Joe Rogan is... everybody's going to recognize this if they've listened to Joe at all about it, but you have to get better the same way you got sick, right? And that's a little bit at a time. There is no, you didn't become unhealthy overnight. It happened over the course of years, and it's going to take years to get back to being healthy. And that's the way it is. So you have to get better the way you got sick. And that's one piece, one little bit at a time.
It is crazy to your point. I was watching some video. I forget what they were talking about. Maybe it was a video by Cruzag. I forget it. It's a popular YouTube thing on GLP-1s. And he was basically breaking down. He goes, you have to understand the only thing this drug is doing is curbing the habit that you already had that was bad. Because he goes, the way people gain weight is usually, or get unhealthy, is usually not them being insane. It's that they've developed a habit of being like, oh, I get a chocolate bar every day with lunch. It's like this innocent, tiny thing. And they go, and it goes, it's not that they had a chocolate bar. It's that they've made a habit of having it every single day. So the way that you get healthier is just as tiny as the way you get unhealthy. It's slow. And it's just one bad, like tiny little misplay at a time builds it up. And so the similar solution is slowly removing those things to come back down, because it's tiny and it's incremental. You don't lose, a bunch of weight in a week. It takes years, because it's just 1 pound a month, 2 pound a month. You know what I mean? Like, it's just teeny, 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 teeny. And that's why the consistency is like the most important fact in this. It's that be consistent and be deliberate for a long period of time, basically, until it becomes a habit, right?
Right, exactly, which it speaks a ton to fortitude, and it's not easy, right? But just pick one thing, right? I'm going to drink 4 glasses of water today instead of 1 glass of water and 2 energy drinks, right? I'm going to drink 2 smaller energy drinks and 4 glasses of water, right? Taper it. Do whatever you need to do there, and don't punish yourself if you screw up, right? One slip doesn't need to turn into an entire day of, well, I already screwed the day up, so I might as well just go off the rails, right? No.
I lost my control and ate that candy bar. Now it's time to do math.
Right, yeah, that's a little extreme, but yeah, right.
Whatever.
That proves the point.
Cheat day.
You don't have to go off the rails just because you screwed up. You don't have to punish yourself the next day because you screwed up. We're all human. We're all going to slip. Give yourself that grace to screw up throughout the process, but overall, if you're consistent 90 to 95% of the time, you'll see the results. You'll see the change, and you'll be better for it.
Yeah, there's very little you can do to truly F up in a short period of time. It's the consistency of the effing up that is the problem. Like, if you're like, oh yeah, I slipped up that one day, it's like, that's fine. That's not really significant. And then you're like, but if you go, now I'm going to make it a consistent habit to do that more, then it's like, oh. The ball's not rolling uphill. The ball's rolling down. And you're like, oh.
Right.
Got to push that ball uphill.
Me, there is a light at the end of the tunnel where you can start loosening up things a little bit more, along this journey, where you get to a point where you're like, okay, I can let the rope out a little bit more, right? I'm to a point where it's okay to let the rope out. The work makes up for what I'm gonna let the rope out on, and it doesn't have to be perfect. We're not saying everybody should run out and be a bodybuilder. Like we're not, you don't have to be uber disciplined, Brian Shaw, world's strongest man level up, hitting your macros and working out 8 hours a day.
Yeah, I think it
just change a little thing.
It relates to, how we have said in the past that don't judge another Mason with your tools, because they're on their own journey, right? It's less about where you're ending or what your goals is. It's more about the consistency as Masons of making small improvements in your life, health being one of them that can be really important. I mean, there's various brothers that I know that, without naming names, throughout the entire fraternity that I'm concerned about their health. And I go, man, I really like this guy. And I hope that my time isn't cut short because the health isn't the best. And, I've not always been the healthiest, and I'm still not by any stretch of the imagination. But trying to make incremental process is the work of a Mason. I wonder if there's some sort of app that we could get that our listeners and us could track health stuff together. I bet it exists.
We'll have to look into that. But I mean, in the meantime, right now, I'd be willing to admit some guys from other states if I know who they are. We do have the Wisconsin Masons Getting Healthy Facebook group that has a few of us in there supporting each other on our journey to health or fitness. You can find it. It's around on Facebook. You just gotta search it up. And if I know who you are, if you're outside of Wisconsin, I think I could waive the Wisconsin requirement for you.
Yeah, he is the admin. The other thing that I'm just realizing, my brain's kind of just churning on how much of an addict you are. So get this, listeners. So Matt just suddenly, one day, I think he just started talking to ChatGPT about health, and it just shifted his brain into overdrive, and suddenly, a light switched in him because he just did a bump of whatever drug his serotonin brain gets. And he goes, all right, I need to start getting more sleep. I need to start drinking more water. I need to quit cigarettes. I need to start running. I need to start worrying about my diet. He just mapped out every part of his entire health and just goes, I'm going to do them all at once. And we're like, what?
Yep.
He's like, all at once. I'm doing it all right now. And you're like, dude, stop. That's crazy.
This is why I'm a crazy. This is why I'm a crazy person. I literally decided. I mean, this is not something ridiculously out of character for me. I think what is out of character for me this time around is, well, for the most part, I don't drink as much as I used to. And B, this is the first time quitting smoking has actually stuck throughout all my things that I've tried. And I think finally, after having gone down this road so many times where I got unhealthy and then tried to start doing stuff again and then would try to get back in shape and then would just revert. And I've bounced back and forth so many times throughout my life. For some reason, this time around actually feels sustainable, the program I've put in place. And I think part of that was I didn't have any expectations on myself going into it. I hadn't planned to become a runner again. It just happened, right? I was content with walking.
Planned to fix all my health step by step through everything I could identify.
It wasn't that. It was, my suits were getting tight. I found myself often out of breath. My work days were taking longer because I was moving slower. I couldn't keep up with Zoe sometimes. I was just like, you know what? This shit's got to be fixed. And rather than fixing it one piece at a time like most sane, rational people would do, I did what Matt does, and I went, it's all or nothing. And
I'm going to do health as a drug.
It's worked out, a lot of times when, nicotine is an appetite suppressant. And I was cognizant of that, which is why when I decided I was going to start working on, eliminating nicotine, I was like, well, it would make sense to put myself on some sort of a slightly regimented, diet and, at least pay attention to what I'm eating. And then I was like, right along with that, I might as well start walking and moving a little bit so that I can, counteract any effects of the hunger and stuff like that. And if I eat a little bit more, so I'm not putting on more weight, which was something I was already conscious of, but I really wanted to quit smoking, but I didn't want to put on weight in the process. So it was like one of those things. So my brain looks at things a weird way sometimes. Like when I look at, like, I want to get new front shocks on the motorcycle, right? Well, in order to do new front shocks on the motorcycle, you have to take the handlebars off. Well, I also want new handlebars. So if I'm going to have the handlebars off to do the new front shocks, I might as well put new handlebars, right? And so I looked at this through that same lens of, well, I'm going to quit smoking, but I don't want to put on weight while I quit smoking. So I should probably improve my diet. And, if I'm going to be focusing on like my health, I might as well start moving a little bit more and maybe trying to get some more muscle on me.
And I can't lose weight because I'm not getting enough sleep, so I better get a little bit more sleep because that's reducing my metabolism. And yeah. And I'm at it, I'm not getting enough fiber, so I need to get some fiber in there.
Yep. Well, it started out with me making sure I got enough protein and my fiber tanked, and then I threw creatine in to help with the, workouts and stuff like that. And then I was like, shit, I'm not getting this is the most time I swear it on a podcast. Yeah, right? I'm not getting enough fiber, and that's probably affecting my digestion. So how can I improve my fiber intake? And now I'm on a regular
chia seed
recommended dose of fiber. Well, no, so it's beyond chia seed. Now it's chia seed. It's
flax,
ground flax.
Yeah, I put that in my food.
And then my breakfast burritos that I'm meal prepping now are the carb balanced tortillas, which are super high in fiber. So I'm getting around 30 grams of fiber a day, like you're supposed to.
Dude, what do you do? Do you put your flax in smoothies? Is that what you do with it?
I put it in my protein shake.
So I don't have smoothies or protein shakes, and I don't care for them that much. So I've just been like, when I'm making eggs, I'll just take a scoop of the flax and just sprinkle it right in and go, whatever, and just toss the fiber into whatever I'm cooking.
So the flax, the interesting thing is, some people have bloat issues with them if you don't let them soak in water for 5 minutes that's the chia. The chia is the one that needs to open up. Yeah. Flax, you can just kind of throw in whatever because do you do the flax meal or flax
ground?
Okay. Yeah. Ground's better. Yeah. Throw that in whatever. But
yeah, I just throw it in my eggs and stuff. I'll just throw it on top of it like it's seasoning and go, there you go. Yep. Fiber.
Chia I throw in my protein shake because then I let it open up in there.
Chia I put into overnight oats. When I've had it, I put in overnight oats.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important, and even though you're an addict and a crazy person, it worked out. But I remember before the light switch went in, you were complaining a lot, like, oh God, I'm so sore lately. I feel like crap lately, and stuff like that. You're complaining a bunch about my suit's being too tight. This is dumb. You could tell it was on your mind.
Yep.
Because I had a similar moment before I started doing hurling again a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, where I was throwing out my back constantly, and I felt really, I don't want to say a weenie, but I felt like a weenie where I was like, dude, I'm losing it. And I remember seeing, I was like, there's two ways your 30s can go. You can either get old really fast or maintain your youth. And I was like, oh crap, I need to decide which path I want to take. Do I want to age super quick or do I want to resist? And I started by just doing Qigong stretches, just stretch back, touch it, just it's just calisthenics, right? And I started doing it every morning, and almost within a month or two, a lot of my problems started disappearing immediately just by the added change in the direction of your body being moved. And similar to you, that led into me being well, I'm strong enough to do sports again. I could do that. I'm not a weenie.
Right.
And then I'm not going to Weenie Hut Junior. And then, when my buddy wanted to get back to hurling, I was like, I can probably do that. I'll tell you what, that first season ruined my body. I throw my back every single time. Still, after every game, both my quads will cramp at some point. I'll fall to the ground at my house and be like, my legs are cramping. I need to have potassium. But so But yeah, like it is like the journey of 1,000. What is it? The journey of 1,000. Something starts with a single step. What am I trying to say? The mountain, one stone. Move a mountain, one stone. Right? One stone, move mountain. Am I right?
How do you eat an elephant? Is that what you're going for? One bite at a time.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
How do you how do you drink the ocean? One spoonful at a time. Is that it? One sippy at a time.
Something like that. Yeah.
One salty sip
Yeah.
at a time.
But I mean, legitimately, that's what it is. One little step at a time. If it takes you 4 years to get there, it takes you 4 years to get there, but you'll be better for it.
For your brothers. And your family.
And yourself.
And yourself. And you don't want to go to Weenie Hut Jr. Weenie Hut General.
Don't be a weenie. Do it all at once.
How tough am I? I eat nails.
Are you tough
for
enough for the MAT program?
I eat nails for breakfast. So what? With no milk. Let them in.
Exactly. Well, I think that's a good place to wrap this one up.
Yeah, I think it's an important topic, and I think that, you know, a lot of brothers that, at least that we have been, in our peers and friends, have been starting to think about health more. And I think it's an important topic. And I think it's one that is worth every brother's consideration. Important to your consideration. So, yeah, to our listeners, feel free to follow us on social media. Share, like, subscribe, all the goodies. You can always email us at
timeforfellowship@gmail.com.
And if we find any cool ways to track workouts and things like that, we'll let you guys know.
And don't do the MAT program.
Unless you're an addict.
I'm crazy.
Yeah, unless you have like weird addictive personality issues. Outside that, have a great one, y'all.
Wow! Ouch!
It's so
I feel
true,
attacked.
man. No, you can
I felt
see it,
attacked on the back half of this.
No, you can see it everywhere. You in archery, you're like, I bought all the best equipment. I'm going 5 days a week, and I can shoot over my shoulder, and I'm doing tournaments.
I had been shooting archery for a long time.
No, but it didn't click for you. The moment it snapped in your brain, you were like, now I'm doing it 5 days a week and I'm going to be a professional archer. And you're like, what?
I do miss doing that. I wish I was still doing that more. But
why don't you start shooting your bow while you're running?
I don't know if the city of Waukesha would appreciate that.
So start horse archery, and you can somehow combine both of them. You can be a Mongolian or a step rider and go roam around.
It could be very interesting. Running archery. I'm going to start a new club, but it's going to be a new pastime.
you just go running down a trail with targets set up along the path like it's your horse. You're just running and just blast it on the way by.
It'll be like, what's the one in the Olympics where they ski and shoot? It'll be running bow.
I forget what that one's called. Yeah, it's like that Finnish sport or whatever. Or I assume it's Finnish. No, God, that'd be a good. Honestly, it could become an Olympic sport if you just get it going. You run a half marathon with a bow.
Oh, that could be fun. All right. I have a new idea to try out.
Yeah. If you guys want to find Matt's newest rap sheet in Waukesha, it's going to be him getting picked up by the cops for running archery. So keep your eyes on the newspaper.
No. I'll go somewhere else.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, sorry for one last hodag hole. You guys have a good day.
Take it easy.